Trilogy's back, and it's a video of a difference. It's not a pickup video, it's a collection video, which I haven't done for a while. This is going to be looking at Nintendo, focusing on the NES generation, along with Famicom and Famicon Disk System games. And so it's really lots of retro goodness for a lot of people. I've started collecting for those systems probably about 18 to 20 years ago I started, and pretty much finished probably about a couple of years ago, really, because there's been one or two more modern releases. Looking back, I would probably if I was to do this collection from scratch these days, I would seriously consider not doing it because it's so expensive. I'll probably get an Evercart. That's probably the easiest way of doing it, or a multi-cart or something, because the games aren't cheap. I would definitely consider going cartridge only as well, and using some of the more better quality universal game cases, which I'll show you in a bit, because I've got some games which are in the universal game cases. But with no, it's going to be a bit of a funny order of this, really. What I'm going to do is focus. I mean, most of my games are all boxed and complete. When they're not, I will mention so. I think I'd leave the traditional NES to last. A majority of my games, by the way, are well, apart from the Famicom, obviously, because they're Japanese. But a majority of my games are NES American. It's just easy and cheap to collect for those systems. And to be honest, a lot of people say NTSC is better than PAL anyway, don't they, really, which is understandable. But I don't know how much difference the actual gameplay is between an NTSC NES game and a PAL game. I know it's quite a big difference on other systems, but I don't know how big a system it is on the NES. But anyway, yeah. Well, like I said, if their games are incomplete or there's some kind of reproduction involved, I'll let you know. But most of them are all complete and original, and a lot of these games were originally funded many years ago by me selling a lot of my vintage original Star Wars toys about 20 years ago. And so I kind of reinvested those funds into other retro goodies, which I'm more interested in, really. Saying that, all these games well, apart from the NES and Nintendo cartridge games, or the NES Disk System, apart from those games, they're all on my retro. What's it called? Retro Freak, that's it. They're all my Retro Freak, they're all saved on there, so technically I don't need the cartridges to play the games, but hey oh. Let's look at, first of all, the NES cart system, NES Disk System, I should call it. I have complete Doki Doki Panic, and I think this ended up being one of the Mario games, didn't it? So that's all complete. I don't have a Famicom Disk System. I do have the, I don't know if it's visible, which is around the corner, the sharp, the sort of greyish and green sharp twin system, so I can play these on it. I also have, what's this one? SD Gundam Gachapon Sensei. I've got Mario Golf Japanese course. I think there's like an American version of that. I think, maybe, I don't know, the different course anyway. And also I have Monty on a Run. It's supposed to be quite a good platforming game. So only a small collection of it with the actual disc system, because a lot of these games were reported onto the actual Famicom and NES carts. While we're here, might as well do NES. like I said before, I recommend getting a multi-cart. So I do have like a 151 NES multi-cart and a Famicom multi-cart, which you can easily get from AliExpress quite cheaply. But then another cheap way of playing the games on original systems we wish to without actually getting out the original carts. But anyway, okay. Famicom games. I'm trying to do this in alphabetical order. What I think of it, I also have this. Anyone seen these before? It's a Famicom soft carry cassette system. Soft. Ow! That's not soft. Why it's called soft, God knows why. I guess it's something lost in translation. I think it means carrying the games without boxes. But look at this. It can carry 5 cartridges, this can. And look how big it is. So on there, got an REM game which is Mermaid Part 2, I think it's called, that one. You can see it. These are just cheap games I've got that came with a box more than anything else. Dragon Ball Z, Z1 or whatever it is called, and also a loose cart of Transformers, the Masters of Convoy, Mystery of Convoy, sorry, not Masters of Convoy. I do have a complete copy of that though, because it's Transformers. And with video game nerds, there's a good video on that if you're interested in that game, because it's notoriously, well, it's not a very good game. It's quite a difficult game, but yeah. I'll show you those. Alright, okay. Some of these games came with hard cases. Some are original hard cases, and some games come in cardboard cases, and some are dedicated Japanese replacement cases. So this one is the original case. It's all boxed and complete. It's Akira. I'm a big fan of the anime. The front is in English, but obviously the gameplay is in Japanese, and so it'll be quite difficult to play. My wife's trying to distract me in the background. Why do we get married? God knows. But hey ho. I'm sure there was some logic behind it at the time. Right, this is a Japanese produced replacement box. I do have original cart though, and that is Kid Dracula, Castlevania Kid Dracula game. So like I said, it's original cart, but the dedicated Japanese box. Another dedicated Japanese box, although I do have original cart, and that is Gunneck. This used to be a lot cheaper on the Famicom compared to the NES. Saying that, I don't know if it is so cheap nowadays. That's a good shooter. I'm a big King Kong fan, so this is all box complete. King Kong 2, sort of top-down exploration game, I suppose, in the way you go around fighting things. Adventure game. It's not like Rampage, but you know you can control King Kong from the top looking down. It's not a bad game actually. A really good game. Again, a Japanese box. It's Mighty Final Fight, original cart, but Japanese box. And these little Japanese especially dedicated Famicom cases from Japan, they're really nice. So we bought a few of those in the day with the artwork. Earthbound, the original Mother. So I think this is the one that ended up being on a. It was Mother 2, wasn't it? It was that was Earthbound, isn't it? So this is the original one, which you can also get on the Game Boy Advance, which I got. But originally it came on the Famicom. That's all complete. Then Good Hudson Soft game. Peach Boy Legend. There's quite a big IP, Peach Boy was. Okay, this is another dedicated Japanese case. Got the original cart. This is a bright blue cart, and it comes with this lovely box. I think it's original. Let me double check. This may be one that it may actually came in these boxes. Let me open it up. It's got the manual. Oh no! If not, yeah, it's actually, that's how it came. It's got a proper Namcot box. You see? And the manual. And you notice that there's a nice little Namcot. It says Namcot there. Holder for the instructions. So that is actually complete. That's not a reproduction box, that's the original box. So that's why some of those, you know, those reproduction boxes are good, because a lot of games did come out in those boxes officially. So that's a nice way of keeping them. And if you think about it, it's like the Mega Drive, isn't it? They're going to last, those cases, much better than the cardboard ones. That's a really strange Star Wars game. So there's some really odd, weird characters. I think one stage if you defeat Darth Vader, he turns into a scorpion or something weird like that in that game. So that's quite a the usual one. Another game which inspired, it's said to believe, the creation of Resident Evil. That is Sweet Home. I do actually have a DVD of that, which is good to watch too, but because they made a movie of it. But this is all complete, and the Famicom game Sweet Home, all complete with manual and everything. Again, like I said, all complete. This is Transformers: The Mystery of Convoy. Being a King Kong fan, I had to get this Konami game. Way World. This is a reproduction box though. And the sequel, Way World 2. And is this a reproduction box or is this complete? Let's have a look at this one. I feel this is original. Yeah, this is all complete. This is Wampeiko Graffiti. In other words, a game that inspired Splatterhouse. And this is all complete. And again, like I said before, it's quite a cutesy. But look at the special cartridge there is, and a special Namcot holder and case. That's one of my probably prized possessions. That I don't know if it's particularly expensive these days, but it's so nice condition, isn't it? That's a lovely game to have, and that's certainly one which I will never sell. Okay. Before I do the proper old NES games, I've got one new NES game which came out, produced from, is it Retrobit? Yeah, Retrobit brought this out, and it's the box set of Holy Diver. This was originally a really difficult Famicom game, sort of, I think it's supposed to be a bit like Castlevania stroke mixed with a kind of platform shooting game of some sort or something, I think. Could be wrong on that. I got this when it came down to a really low price on Amazon in a day years ago. I think it came down to almost just about 40 quid and stuff. I think it was all about 60 when it first came out, so I got it for 40. Again, I don't know how much that goes for, but I've got it all boxed mint for now. I can always play with ROM anyway if I wanted to on the Retro Freak, so I'll probably keep that all mint. One game before one odd game, odd one out. This is a quite a rare NES game, and this came out in a special soft. Well, I bought it in a special soft reproduction case, and it's Godzilla 2. This came with it. It's quite a nice case actually, even though it's a reproduction case, obviously. It's got the cart, and if you know your NES games, Godzilla 2 is really expensive game. It's not a particularly good game. The first one wasn't much to shout out big, and this is again a bit more of a sort of a tactical top-down game involving a bit of strategy, I believe. But being a Godzilla fan, I had to have it, and that I'll keep that in that special box. To get a box one of these, they're stupidly rare, and would be crazy price as well. So I'm happy with that. Okay. I have some games which I've got some universal game cases for, because to get them boxed complete at the time was really expensive, and I wasn't that overly chuffed with the quality of some pre-production boxes out there. So I've done some digging, and I came across some universal game cases that had a clear plastic sleeve with a very dark greyish, almost black body, which looked really nice. And so I got about 40 of those for a lot of my loose miscellaneous games across Nintendo systems. And from a cover project, I was able to, I've really got a good quality printer now, print off some really good quality sleeves. And I think when they're on the shelf, you see what you think, guys. I think those games, when they're on the shelf all neatly tidied up, they look really neat and good actually. So, like I said, if I was to collect Nintendo from scratch these days, NES, I'll definitely just go for carts only and have them all in these universal game cases. So, because I mean, some universal game cases aren't very good quality. They got like a sort of a misty type clear sleeve, and so they hide the quality of the print work. But if you've got a really good clear one like these have, they come out really good. So what games have I got here? Some of these are American exclusive, so A Nightmare on Elm Street. I have to confess, this is a reproduction cart. Bucky O'Hare. This is original cart though. Chippendale 2. These covers are printed on proper HP paper, and they've turned out like really clear and professional. I was really impressed with that. I mean, this is original cart again, SNK Guerrilla War, but like I said, the clear quality of that artwork, it's as good as a real thing. You know what I mean? So if you can get good quality prints of them, sometimes reproduction like this is really good. Another one, Konami Jackal, original cart. This is a special reproduction cart because the originals were stupidly expensive, but this was made by quite a few years ago, about 15 years ago, using a proper original NES cart. So they used an original NES cart and made the reproduction using that. So it's got the original board, and I mean it's got a proper board and so forth, and so they've just changed to one on a chip type thing. And so it's one of the better quality reproductions as opposed to those cheap reproductions you get from AliExpress. And that's a little Samson. Original cart of Popeye. And original cart of Metal Gear Solid 2, I suppose. Snake's Revenge, although I believe Hideo Kojima disowned a lot of these NES ports of the game because not recognising them as proper. That's just a whole bag, that is. But yeah, Snake's Revenge. Yeah, Hideo Kojima, I think he says, I think he believes that the first proper Metal Gear game was on the MSX, I believe, and these other games were just some ones that Konami rushed out, really. I don't know if that's the exact story, but he disowns them to a certain degree. Okay, that's all the odds and sods. Now let's go to the, box NES games, And like I said, 98%, 95% of these are American copies. They all got their manuals. I think there's only one other reproduction, or maybe one or two reproduction boxes here. But if it is, I will tell you. Because I think because they was part of a series, I wanted to keep them all consistent. If that makes sense. But anyway, so we've got a boy in his blob. I think there's about 4 advanced Dungeons and Dragons games that never came out to Europe. So we've got Dragon Strike. These are really nice, clean copies. Heroes of the Lance. So RPGs. Hills Far. And last but not least, Rapport Radiance. Doomed to one of the best games on the system. Batman. Another good game. Batman Returns. And oddly one of the best games as well. Batman Return of the Joker by Sunsoft. All complete. Their collection will be complete with our Castlevania games. So again, we've got the first Castlevania, Summoner's Crest, and Dracula's Curse. Then I've got the Disney games, so we've got Disney Adventures in the Magic Kingdom. Quite an unusual one. It's not actually based on one IP. It's basically, you play a little kid who goes around the Magic Kingdom, Disneyland, and it's like a platforming game. You have got to do various adventures and mini games and all sorts of things. So it's a bit of an odd, weird one, really. The classic game, Chippendale Rescue Rangers. And as I said, I did have Chippendale 2 there as well. Okay. And then the Dark Green Duck. This is actually a big one. So is that Europe? Oh, it's got English and French on the back. So I don't know if that's it's probably a European copy as opposed to PAL UK. But anyway, most of them are American. Like I said, most of the games. Original DuckTales classic, superb soundtrack, and DuckTales 2, all complete. And Capcom Mickey Mouse Capade. These are definitely days when Capcom was the sign of quality in games. Tailspin. Now this game is unusual. I think it's a bit of a Marmite game. Some people love it, some people hate it. And that's a Little Mermaid, Capcom's Little Mermaid. Got this because it's Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry. Not particularly good game, but again, I don't know, that came to Europe. Right, a great shooting game, Dragon's Spirit. I had to get the Ghostbusters game. The first Ghostbusters, again, Angry Video Game Nerd done a lot of videos on this game. The first one is pretty bad across the board, whereas Ghostbusters 2, they're much better. And there's 2 different games, one by Activision and one by HAL Laboratories, all complete. I think they're both American copies. But 2 different games. Go figure. Okay, from Ghosts and Goblins, Gargoyle's Crest 2. Pricey game. I showed Godzilla 2, and that's the original Godzilla. I think this is relatively a cheap game, but a lot of people don't like it much, quite understandably. Another game that is by Sunsoft, Ghostbusters 2. I think it's an okay game. A better game? Well, I prefer anyway. And that is the classic Gunsmoke, Capcom. Okay, Indiana Jones. We've got the Temple of Doom. And I've got the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the Taito version. There is another version which I think got ported onto is it a Game Boy or Game Boy Color or Master System or something like that. I think it's ported to a Master System, if I'm correct. And that's the version I own because it's a lot cheaper than trying to find the other version on the NES because it's super rare and expensive. But this is a more common Taito one. This game, once you get used to the mechanics, it's Jaws. It's not like a fast-moving action game, but it's sort of there's a bit of patience involved with it really, and I guess you could argue there's a little bit of exploration of sorts. Not really much. It's a simple game. Again, it's LGN, so it's not really a sign of good quality, but that isn't terrible. It may not be good, but it's not terrible. A good Data East game, Karnov. This is another European copy, and this is Kid Icarus, all complete. That came out in a smaller box. It's all English in the back, but for whatever reason, it's in a small box. There is a bigger box version, but that's what I've got. And yeah, why they did that, God knows. Little Nemo's Dream Master. Okay, original Konami game Metal Gear. I talked about that earlier. Another American exclusive game, Mad Max. Again, not a terrible game, but it's just amazing what IP came out in the States compared to Europe, really. So it's really good to pick up those exclusives. The classic Metroid. Jim Henson's Muppet Adventure. I do love the Muppets. Because arguably you could put that on the Disney nowadays, even though it wasn't Disney at the time. We like the Mario Golf games, don't we? Well, I guess this is one that started it all. Give that one. This is the NES Open, so I think this is like the American course version of that Disk System game, which is a Japanese course version. Yeah. Yeah. So this is a Japanese course, and this is a slightly different course for the American market. That's right. Okay, another new game that came out a few years back by Retrobit, and that's Metal Storm. This came out in different colours. This is like a Twilight Black, and I've got a feeling this is like the Japanese version of the game, but in English. And it's supposed to, it's supposed to be the best way of playing it. So it's a bit of a mech. I don't think it's not a twin. I don't think it's a twin stick shooter, but it's a bit of a mech type shooting game. Okay. I don't think this is a particularly good game. Predator, but again, you have to have it, haven't you? It's like the Robocop and Terminator games, which I'll go on to in a minute. Robocop, again, maybe not the best of games, but it's Robocop. You have to have it, haven't you? And Robocop 2. I love Snoopy, and hence why I got this game. Again, I don't think it's a particularly good game. Alright, we did get some Star Wars games on the NES, not free games. We got Star Wars, which is, like I said, this is completely different to a Japanese Famicom game. And then The Empire Strikes Back. But they skipped Return of the Jedi because I think they're just, you know, end of a system. So they all came out in the SNES. I do have, with my original box NES for Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, you know, Double Kart, which, as you know, is not in the box. It's actually with the console. But the only other Super Mario game I got is with Super Mario Brothers 3. It's completely boxed and minty. I got this from CX probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and it wasn't a lot of money. I think it's about 15 quid. I know that it's not a rare game, but still, 15 quid for a game of this quality, it's like new. It's, you know, I think that's good, especially for a popular game and a good game. Right. This is strange. It's like, I mean, I guess people in the know, like Stu and Tutu, will know. But this is Swords and Serpents. It's A, so it's America, isn't it? But it's got a UK Woolworths price of $34.99. So obviously Woolworths in the US States must have stocked American games. And I guess you know, anyone like to leave a comment below why they did that. I guess that, you know, I guess they must have ways of playing the game still, and that's how the games came. I don't know. It's bizarre. But anyway, it's nice to have a Woolworths price label, because in the UK, the Woolworths store closed down about, is it 7 or 8 years ago or longer? I don't know how long ago they closed down. But anyway, the original classic Tetris. Terminator 2, LGN, say no more, but it is Terminator. Okay, another good RPG, The Bard's Tale, that's really minty. The Legend of Zelda and The Legend of Zelda The Adventure of Link, which are a very different style of game. I've played some Legend of Zelda games, but I just can't get on with the first Legend of Zelda. I'm sorry. It must be sacrilege. Maybe I need to play with cheats or something. I don't have a patience for it. Maybe it's me. Okay. The Simpsons, Bart versus Space Mutants. They brought out a hell of a lot of Simpsons games. Krusty's Fun House. I think Krusty's Fun House is probably the best of them all. And then the Simpsons, Bart Man versus Radioactive Man. This is a European German copy, because it's really difficult to get in English, American or whatever. I don't know if it actually came out in America, but that's the easiest, cheapest way of getting it complete. And then Bart versus the World. Last 3 games, guys. We have the holy trilogy of the Turtles games. Although, yeah, no, this is the holy trilogy, yeah. So we've got the first Turtles game complete. Then 2, the arcade game. Then 3, the Manhattan Project. This is the original cart, but I have to confess it is a reproduction box. I don't know if I got the manual of this or not. I can't remember. But I just remembered. Yeah, it has got the manual though. So I do have the original manual. Getting the actual American box would have doubled the cost of this game easily, if not more. And so I just, it wasn't a cheap game to say release. I can't remember what I paid for it. I think it's about £75 in the day, because it's not a common game. Well, I don't think it's a common game. But I really enjoy this game. It is a good game though. A Manhattan Project is a good game out of all of them. This is my favourite. Okay, so there's a nice simplicity to it really, a bit like the Captain America one, the Captain America game, on the Mega Drive and SNES. That's basically, anyway, that's the rest of it. Okay, and last but not least, Capcom's Willow. Again, I think you can only get this in the States, and massive fan of the movie. And that's it. That's my that's that era of games in my collection. I'm sure if you like retro games, you would have seen something that you own or like, and it's not as big as a collection. It's not aiming to be, but I just focus on the games I wanted. I think it's, you know, I never grew up with a system. It sort of skipped me by like a lot of people in the UK, I think, because it was just so expensive in a day, especially when you had cheaper microcomputers out, you know, paying a few pounds for a microcomputer game compared to, how much were these, about 50 or 60 pounds, you know, in the old money. I think they were just it was pretty prohibitive, so I never got into the NES in a day, but I'm really glad to have these games now, because I think they're a great part of gaming history, and especially Nintendo, of course. And that's it really. I will be doing other videos focusing on my other Nintendo collection, so I will be doing a dedicated video on the SNES and the N64 and then the GameCube, but I'll be doing those split up by pickup videos, so it'll probably, you know, be another 6 months before you get to see all of those. But I'm just sort of spreading things out a little bit, because I'm conscious that I don't want to always do long pickup videos with people, because some people may not like that, and I just thought I'd give you a bit of diversity, that, you know, it's you know, introduce you guys to some of the other games I own, especially the older systems, because most of my pickups these days are more modern. So yeah, so I hope you know, it was a nice change for people, and I hope they like it. As before, take care of yourselves. Until next time, bye.